And here's the first tip of the day. Do your arpeggios by hand. That way you can record the odd note here and there and create tension, texture, and ambience for the listener, points of interest. Sometimes the automatically generated arps from a synth or a arpeggiator is the right thing to do, and I do have those in here as well. And the mix of arpeggios played by hand, you can do it in MIDI and quantize, of course, but record your own finger settings doing the arps can often be a good way to create interest. And the second tip is mix time signatures, and that can be done in different ways. And let me show you. I have my drums here and my first arpeggiated part going in a 4/4 time signature. Let's hear it. And as you can see, that's repeated 3 times. Then I cut it in half, and 3 times again, cut it in half, 3 times again. The arpeggiated part, I'll get back to that shortly, why I've cut it in half. But they're doing a 4/4 time signature, and the same is the drum part, just a simple loop from the 808 doing kick drums. And some rim shots going on 16ths. That creates a sort of arpeggiated feel on its own, especially when all the other parts come in. And a little bit of hi-hat on the second part of this complete cue here. Now for the bass, I'm stealing 1 beat here for every 8 beats. So I'm doing a 7/8 or 7/4 time signature for the bass. And when the drums are doing 4/4 and some of the arpeggiated parts, this will create a very nice tension and create a sort of feel, I'm not sure what's going to happen next for the listener. And that can be very interesting. And this is a technique used a lot. Tangerine Dream used a lot of 6/4 time signatures for their arpeggiated parts, mixed with other time signatures, so that everything is constantly being offset a bit during the course of a tune. So let's check out this bass part here. So let me count that for you with a click here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. And again, since the kick drum is doing its regular 4/4 pattern and that first arpeggiated part doing the same time signature, everything now is getting offset more and more until we come to the end of this part here, where everything will start all over again. The cycle is complete in terms of everything coming back to its natural order, and we start on the first beat again, so to speak. So let's add more parts and see what they're doing. And the second arpeggiated part is this one, doing a arp from the Prophet X with a Jupiter 8 sample. So let's check this out. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing a 3-finger chord on the Prophet X, but occasionally I break that down and do 4 fingers instead in the chord, and that makes the arpeggiator take a little longer to complete its cycle, and again it creates a sort of offset against the other parts. The chord structure here is really not a structure. I'm doing A minor and F major 7 chords throughout, and the bass is doing A root or F root. So it doesn't really matter how I voice my chords here. It will always sound correct in terms of key. But I throw in the odd 9 here and there and maybe do a C chord, C major chord, because that will also create a sort of offset against everything else. So again, here and there, I throw in the odd note to add the texture and tension. When I stop it, you hear a lot of delay effects going on that arpeggiated part, and that's the third tip of the day. And something Tangerine Dream used a lot. They had lots of effects, delay effects, triplets, dotted delay effects on their arpeggiated parts, often panned left and right. And together it all blends to create this organic atmosphere that has a life of its own. Very cool thing, and I do this a lot in my own music, and Tangerine Dream sort of pioneered that way of layering arps. I love it. And the next arp is this one going here. And that arp is done by using something called the arpeggi innuendo, which I'm using. A way of creating arps inside the DAW. I'm pretty sure every DAW has a similar functionality. And this arp is played against the bass part, so it's part of that stealing 1 beat for every 8 beats. So it's doing 7/8 for the most part during the first 2 complete cycles. But then I chop it off and I just put the start of it in at a time later in the sequence, in the cue, where it shouldn't normally be compared to the first time. So when you come towards the end of this cue here, it'll sort of offset everything again, especially if you compare to the first cycle. So again, for the nth time in this tutorial, I offset things to create something interesting for the listener to listen to. Remember, ultimately, I'm making music for people to listen to. I make music for my audience. If I were to make music only for myself, I wouldn't have all this synth gear at all. I would just have a piano or a guitar and just sit in the sofa noodling at Saturday night. So when I make music because I like it, and I like it because I know a lot of other people likes it. So that's why I do music, and that's why I create interest points for the listener when I'm doing my arrangements. So that's another arpeggiated part playing against the bass, while the 2 first arpeggiated parts were played against the 4/4 time signature. And that leaves us with a top line, if you like, and I have a bell sound going from the get-go. Let's hear that as well. And that's played against the bass as well, so it sort of follows the 7/8 time signature. And here we start again. And here I've added a little bit of synth brass. Counterpoint against the bell sound from the Prophet VS, which I'm having up here. So here I take away a few parts to sort of cool everything down. But here I come again with that arpeggiated part, which has now been offset even more. And again, this has a lot of delay effects on it. That will blend with everything else to gel it all together as a complex organic structure. I hope you like this little tutorial and venture into Tangerine Dream arpeggio territory. This was not meant as a carbon copy of any particular Tangerine Dream tracks. I was just playing along with some of their ways of doing it, adding a little bit of my own. And it was meant as a inspirational video for you guys to watch. And maybe you got some tips and ideas for your own arpeggiated parts and something that you can try out in your own music. So thanks for watching. I'm Espen Croft, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.